If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
Emailrevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat, locate his hidden assets, locate his hidden bank accounts, find his current place of employment, and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com, 800-572-9762. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, guys. Okay. Welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Hey, did you notice I shot up a gun sound effects a couple of times during the intro there, just to make sure you guys are awake. So welcome to the show. I'm your host. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting, either through my website, emailrevealer.com, or just email me directly at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. our Patreon. We got a whole bunch of stuff. We just put up another show with the reality winner's mother on Patreon, ad-free, commercial-free, plus some other old exclusive stuff, plus all the stuff you hear Monday to Friday, AM/FM radio, ad-free, commercial-free, and then plus some exclusive stuff too. Check out Spreaker.com. Every Friday night I do a live show on Spreaker.com, which is what I'm doing right now. Today is September 16, 2022. It's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is where we do our live show. There's a chat room, and you can get an email notification when I put up new content. When I put up new content, too, I'll post it on Instagram so you can tell what's new and what's old, because I also put up repeats. And, here's one important thing. Is this week I got a 6-day Facebook ban from Facebook for posting, liking, commenting. I can't do anything on Facebook because I made a sarcastic comment about hijacking refugees and children and kidnapping them and dragging them across the country and stranding them, which is exactly what the governor of the great state of Florida did. But if you can do it, it's okay. But if you joke about doing it, they take away your Facebook. So I'm going to ask you kindly to help me out this week by retweeting and sharing these episodes, because I really do. The Friday night income I make from Spreaker, the podcast income, I need that money. That's it's a week's check. So if I can't post it on Facebook, it cuts it down quite a bit. Keep an eye out on me too, because I seem to be drawing a lot of attention from the wrong kind of people. Once again, the most important things going on in my life this week are things I can't talk to you about. But it just seems that I'm on a lot of people's radar right now for the things I've been doing. I've liked the past 10, for most of my life, I've been flying under the radar. No one knew who I was until 13 years ago, But then after that, when the show started, I've been kind of flying low, I could talk about certain things, tell certain little anecdotes, and didn't have to worry about it getting back to people. But now it is getting back to people, and things are going to start. Well, let's just hope, Let's just hope. Okay, let's just hope. So tonight after this, I got a couple of shows coming on for you. One will be Vice Up, Steve Schneider. Talking about his exclusive, he's got some exclusive documents and archives about Colonel Michael Aquino. That he went to some library someplace and got all these documents. And a lot of stuff about Aquino's mother involvement with the Pacifica Foundation. I was a radio host on Pacifica. So, who was it? Oh, yeah. So that's an interesting topic. It's kind of. I was talking to Casey Gane McGall a couple of weeks ago, too. And I kept saying, that's my case. But so we're talking about Pacifica, and I was on Pacifica too as well. It's my case. That was my job, That's what I was working on before anybody knew anything about it. The other thing is that the second show will be through some friends of Megan Walsh, the daughter of John Walsh. She's having some custody issues with Child Protective Services here in the wonderful state of Florida. And so I agreed to help out by promoting this rally that they're having on November. Let me double check, because it was very difficult. Here it is, okay. It's the Florida Fight for Parents' Rights Rally, November 16th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Clearwater, Florida, at the Pinellas County Courthouse at 14250 49th Street, Clearwater, Florida, on November 19th. So far, it seems like a small crowd showing up, but Ira Peskowitz, Danielle Bergwell, the Cash Me Outside girl, I've had him on the show, Ira Peskowitz. He's going to be speaking there. Some other folks, Megan Walsh will be speaking there. My guest I had on the show, Amber Martinez, will be speaking there. and some other advocates and people who've had personal experiences with the family court system and with child protective services and the foster care system, which is pretty much a nightmare. Everybody knows the hell I went through with the family court, and pretty much destroyed my daughter's relationship with her mother. But anyway, let's just move on. Tonight's show, we have a lot of content for you. Tonight's show is called, what do I call it? Something about the Space Force. Oh, yeah, the golf course meeting or the Space Force. Okay, where do we start? There's a lot of content here. I was flipping through Twitter this week, and I saw one of those clickbait type articles, and it says, these are things doctors could never get away with today. Atrocities doctors had done in the past that they would never be able to get away with today. And you go through and it talks about the different kind of medical experiments and unauthorized experiments that these doctors would do on their patients. And I'm flipping through, and one of them is about how these doctors put some kind of radioactive iodine or something in people, and they would put them behind this x-ray machine and to whatever, some kind of experiment, all kinds of stuff, injecting people with LSD, MK Ultra had mentioned, all kind of stuff. It's a mainstream article. Now, when I saw this x-ray machine, I said, I've seen that before. When I was a little kid in the Bronx, right, I'm talking like 5 years old, from the time I was born to the time I was about 10 years old or 12 years old, and we moved to Staten Island, our family pediatrician was this doctor in the Bronx named Dr. Perroth. Dr. Perroth, my mother. Okay. Now the story goes that Dr. Perroth had delivered my mother when she was a baby in Cuba. Now, somehow this guy was in Cuba. I don't know what the story is, because he was some kind of like Eastern, Western European guy with this thick European accent, but he spoke Spanish too as well. So he delivered my mother when she was a baby, and then what does this have to do with the Space Force? The trip on the golf course. Where do you go with this? Stick with me. He had delivered my mother, and he delivered both my brothers in Cuba. Okay? And then when everyone got the hell out of Cuba and came to the Bronx, my family had 15 people living in a one-bedroom apartment. My mother continued. He was our pediatrician my whole childhood. Now, when I would go see this doctor, and I think I've told the story a few times before, because he actually gave me one time a syringe to play with as a toy. He broke the needle off of it after giving me a shot, because every single time we went to see this doctor, we got a shot, no matter what. Every single time we'd have to go there, take our clothes off, put on those aprons, and then no matter what, you had a headache, you had a cold, you had a broken finger, didn't matter what it was, you got a shot. Oh, I got the shot. Now, this place, first of all, it took like an hour to get there. Okay, it was like an all-day thing. So let's say you're sick, now you got to drive all this way to get over to this doctor's office. Then my poor dad had to drive around looking for parking, would find parking, and you'd have to walk over to this doctor's office. Maybe my dad would carry me because I was so little. And then you'd get there and you'd go into this doctor's office, and it was a nightmare because you knew you were going to be in there for like 6 hours. Okay. Now, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. Maybe I'm not. Okay. But this is how I remember it. I remember you'd go, there was a table, you'd have to sign up and meet the nurse. Okay. And this doctor, too, he had all these cute little nurses in like these mini skirts. I remember one time, too, they had go-go boots. The nurses were in go-go boots. It was the first time I saw go-go boots. And this is tell you how long ago this was. White go-go boots. So we had these sexy little nurses, and you'd walk in there, and then there was this long hallway. It was like the waiting room with a bunch of chairs up against the wall, maybe even benches or couches or something like that, okay? And where everybody would be sitting, and everyone was smoking. There was smoke in the whole place, and crying babies, and I almost, I know it, I didn't, but just imagine chickens running around. Okay? I know that's my memory, it's my faulty memory, exaggerating in my old age, the horror of this waiting room of this quack physician. Okay? And his estate can try and sue me all you want, man. Okay? Because I got the goods on you guys. All right? This quack physician with the cigarette smoke, the sexy nurses, and then even if I were to do a story of my life, I would include in the story like exiled Cubans carrying crates of weapons in the background, going from one room to another. You know, I didn't actually see this, but that's the kind of place it was. Wait there all day long. You finally get into the doctor's examining room. Oh, hello. He's so happy to see my mother. Whatever this language was, this accent he had. The guy's drinking scotch and he's smoking. I think he smokes cigars too. Whole scene going on in this doctor's office, right? And this was our doctor until my sister had a boyfriend. When we moved to Staten Island, my sister had a boyfriend. And she was sick. She was about 16 years old. And they went back to the Bronx to see this doctor. And he says, that guy is a quack. What? Come see a real doctor. I remember the first time I went to a real doctor's office. They were, it was clean. People weren't smoking and drinking. It was like a whole nother world. But what am I getting at? I want to tell you about this one incident. My sister had to be about 12 years old, okay, maybe 13. And she had an issue with her posture, okay? So, of course, the doctor's going to checking her back, the spine and stuff like that. I'm there, and my mother's there, and I'm there. I don't know where my father was, but I think maybe he was there, maybe he wasn't. I don't know. So then he says, well, come here. And I almost remember like him pushing like a bookcase away from these doors and opening up these doors to a very large closet. It was like a big walk-in closet. And inside that closet, he had this X-ray machine. And it was very similar to the one I saw in the picture. It was this old with pipes and it had brown paint on it, It was really, really old, And you stood in front of it. And I remember him turning it on, and telling my mother, don't ever tell anyone I have this. Okay? You can never tell anybody. You can never tell anybody about this. I'm not supposed to have this. And my sister goes, 13 years old, 12 years old, goes and stands behind this machine. And man, no vest, no protective lead coat, right? Superman, nothing. And we're seeing my sister's bones through this screen. There was no film, X-ray film. You just looked right through the machine. You could see. Okay, and I thought I'd imagine this or something like that. But then here I see the same machine on this article on Twitter. And I'll never forget when he's telling my mother says, don't worry, Dr. Poroth, I'll never say anything. I'll keep my mouth shut. I remember seeing this scenario as a little 5-year-old kid, 6 years old, maybe 7 tops, and saying, something's off here. Something's not right. This whole situation that I'm sitting in, this is not something that we should be doing. Okay? This little kid, I was a little kid, but I always had this kind of wits about me. That I kind of, something, anything that comes to me, I said, let me check this out. Okay? Let me see, does this pass the smell test? Okay? And even as a little kid, I could see this freaking X-ray machine. I knew that there was trouble here. Okay, this is not something we should be doing. Now, where's my father? Where's my mother? Where's my sister? Everyone else is just going along with this. So fast forward. Here we are. The week of, midweek of September, of the month of September. Merry, merry month of September. And all of Twitter blows up because Trump makes a surprise trip into Washington, D.C., and he gets off the plane, no fanfare, no announcement, no nothing, and he gets off the plane, he's still wearing his golf clothes, and he's got like this jacket draped over his back, and some people were even speculating that he had handcuffs on. And then he was being arrested. Well, what's going on? Why is he here? Well, he's wearing his golf outfit. Maybe he's going to visit his golf club that he has over there. He has a golf course. Maybe he's going to testify before the January 6th committee. Maybe he's turning himself in. He looked disheveled and defeated. And even the pilot who was standing there, he didn't say goodbye to the pilot. The pilot didn't. The pilot kind of looked depressed and down and disheveled. Not disheveled, but depressed and down and defeated as well. There was a woman standing there, some kind of, people expecting, well, maybe he's going to the doctor. Maybe it's an emergency visit to one of these special hospitals that they have for ex-presidents. So what's the next thing we know? Well, the next thing we know is this. No one could quite figure out why Trump was there unannounced. But the next thing we know is we see a post on Truth Social from a fellow named Greg Phillips. And Greg Phillips has an account called Vote Stand. And it's called, and his pack is called True the Vote. Okay? And what he writes is, "Hi everyone, this is on the 8th. Hi everyone. Sorry I've been radio silent. Many moving parts. Most too sensitive to share right now. I know no one wants to hear that. I wouldn't. But, a lot is happening. I'm writing to ask all prayerful patriots reading this to please pray for a meeting that is happening tomorrow. Early afternoon, 9/12. Oh, no, that's not the 8th. That's 8 hours before he posted this. It wasn't the 8th. This was on 9/11. Please pray for the courage to act on the truth that we will present." Okay? It's on my heart to ask this. I know you'll know what to do. Deuteronomy 31:16, 31:6. Then hashtag flipping tables at Greg Phillips. Okay. And then the next day, you see Greg Phillips on the golf course with Trump. Now, you can find his picture, you can find the pictures of him on the golf course with Trump. And when you see him there, he doesn't look happy. As a matter of fact, when you see this whole golf course video, none of them have golf clubs. They're riding around in golf carts. Many don't have golf shoes or even golf attire. They're wearing long pants. It's cold over there. It's raining. But they're having a meeting. They're having a meeting in public. Now, and Trump seems to be directing this meeting, and it seems to be, when you look at their body language and you look at the expressions on their faces, that he's delivering to them some very bad news. He's delivering them some very bad news, and if you look on the look on their faces and their body language, they don't like to hear this bad news. And it also appears to me that they're losing confidence in him, and I would predict that some of these people are about to flip on Trump. That not everybody who was invited to that meeting is going to go down with the ship. Okay? And I am, you listened to my show last week where I went into great detail about the Mar-a-Lago search warrant, how I believe that the material, this top secret material he had there at Mar-a-Lago, was regarding the foreign interference, so he could use those special executive powers that said if there's foreign interference in an election, you can seize the voting machines, you can declare martial law, you can do all this stuff. Because this is what these people were urging him to do. Now, you listen to my interview with Patrick Berge. If you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it, because we talk about all this. Berge's intimately involved in this. Berge submitted an affidavit of his own into the Mar-a-Lago search warrant litigation, into that same case number, along with Patrick Byrne, the Overstock.com guy. Now, since that time, since we've been talking about that, I've made a discovery that many people closely and intimately involved at the highest levels of all this are aware of me and aware of my broadcasts, okay, and aware of my Twitter postings and things like that. It's been made to me extremely clear to me, crystal clear to me. Can't be any more clear that what I'm saying is catching the right, well, not the wrong ears, actually, but what I'm telling you, they consider to be important. What I'm saying, because I'm saying you should consider what I'm saying to be important. Now, this meeting at the golf course, I've been at meetings like that. Okay, with my own, where I'm in charge, with my own guys, where I got to deliver some bad news. But don't worry, guys, I'm going to get us out of this. Just stick with me. Okay, I've done that. I've been at those meetings, and I've looked in people's eyes around me, and I saw who's going to stick with me and who wasn't going to stick with me. Just like I could look around that doctor's office and I say, hey, man, this machine is crazy. We should be getting the hell out of here. Okay, now I call this show the golf course meeting, or should Trump use the Space Force to stage a coup? Okay, and I've said that for a reason. There's a new Twitter account out there. Well, this crackpot is basically doing a QAnon impersonation where he, trust the plan, I've got hints, believe what I say, I've got this inside information. Now, here's a hint, there's a hint, blah, blah, blah. No, there's going to be a large body of water. You're going to meet a tall, dark, handsome stranger. Okay, all this crap. And this guy's got like 20,000 followers in less than a month because people are so desperate to believe this fantasy, this QAnon fantasy. And one of the questioners says, we can't, none of this stuff works in court. Can Trump use the Space Force to launch a coup to get back in power? You know, and this is the kind of fantasy world, this is the kind of craziness that we're dealing with here right now in this country. Okay? The people actually are encouraging the former president of the United States to use the Space Force to launch a coup. Now, that's what's happening in Fantasyland. But just take a look at what's happening in real life. We've got the former president of the United States with this golf course meeting, like a bunch of mafia dons out there in the rain, covering their mouth as they talk because they don't want the FBI watching what they're saying and recording what they're saying. Okay? I had another whole thing this week about January 6th. People feeding me this nonsense about January 6th that the FBI staged a whole thing to make Trump supporters look bad. And, look, Ed, here's this other guy examining all the videos. A bunch of nonsense. They had a war room, guys. It's the simplest explanation is what is real here and what's going on before our eyes. Okay? Now, for some reason, the news is not coming right out and reporting what we're seeing right before our eyes, but a lot of it is getting out there. And I think I'm going to be able to explain to you a lot more of what's going on here tonight. Let's see how we're doing on time. Okay, one of the first things you have to understand is who is Greg Phillips? Who is Greg Phillips? We started this True the Vote. Okay, then the next day he says, arrived in D.C., arrived today. D.C. is not prepared for us. Hashtag Patriot Games, hashtag Tiger Project, hashtag The Pit. Who knows what any of that means, okay? But this is the guy who is Greg Phillips? Who is Greg Phillips? True the Vote. Now, he used to be in the Mississippi Department of Human Services. Right? Now, in 2016, he authored this tweet that said that 3 million illegal aliens, and between 3 and 5 million illegal aliens, non-citizens, voted in the 2016 election. And Trump retweeted that, and he quoted that. More recently, Mr. Phillips has been in Dinesh D'Souza, convicted felon, political film, 2,000 Mules, okay? Where they're also making all these wild election claims, right? About the election being stolen and falsified. If you listen to Berge, by the way, Berge is friends with all these guys. Berge says he examined all that allegations about the voting machines being hacked and stuff like that, and he explains all that. I don't know if he did it on the air or off the air, but I'm trying to get him to come back because we're going to get into more detail about some of these characters here. But Greg Phillips, did you know that Greg Phillips, the fellow who started this whole the election fraud, election stolen, all it was True the Vote, all this nonsense? Do you know that this guy's registered to vote in 3 states? The guy who was blowing the whistle on the big Stop the Steal is himself registered to vote in 3 states. Now, and one of those states doesn't even allow him to do business in that state anymore because he's such a crook. He had problems when he was in public office. Okay? Because what would he do? Well, let me look this stuff. Allegations of grift, ethical misconduct, philandering, and cronyism. Okay? One of the things, first of all, he owes $100,000 in taxes to the IRS. This is guys playing, well, not playing golf. They didn't have their golf clubs, but this guy's in a top secret mafia Don meeting with Don Trump. And Trump, one of the junior Trumps, Eric Trump. Now, he's unable to do business in the state of Texas, right? Because the guy says he's one of our revolving door kind of hustlers. Okay, the guy's running so many scams. The whole state of Texas will not allow him to start a business there. He can't get a business license, can't get an LLC, can't do nothing. Okay? Now, he was involved in this nonprofit organization, this Texas-based nonprofit organization, right? And then the organization sent $1 million gift to the organization's founder, and he had a romantic relationship with the founder. When he was, Phillips was found to award millions in government contracts to his own personal businesses or associates involved, and then were quietly shuttered away. Now, it's not, it's bad enough when you have a guy, who's in a position of power in some kind of government office and he can give away contracts. You're giving contracts to yourself? Now, that's unheard of, man. That's a Super Bowls. You know what I mean? Oh, my God. So this guy's giving himself government contracts. He's all kinds of shenanigans. He can't do business in Texas. He's registered to vote in 3 states. He owes $100,000 to the federal government for taxes. And he's the guy who made up this whole thing about 5 million people, illegal aliens, were voting. Okay, that started this whole damn thing. Then he runs the True to Vote. They're doing these voter examinations, all this kind of stuff. Now, what happens the day after the golf course meeting with Mr. Greg Phillips? Okay. Grifter. And Mr. Trump there out on the golf course, everybody's all nervous, everybody's all upset, everybody's worried. What's going on? Well, what's going on? Well, let's start. What happens the day after? The day after, the FBI executes a search warrant on none other than Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy. Right, who, by the way, do you know that the MyPillow guy says that he has paid $40 million of his own money in this effort to overturn the election and to find some kind of evidence? $40 million, man. I could produce any kind of case you want, man. $40 million. Who's this guy? What's he using his money on? This clown. So now what happens with Mike Lindell? Who was the guy? The U.S. attorney in Colorado signs a felony search warrant. It's an official criminal investigation of a suspected felony on Mike Lindell for his cell phone. Okay. Now, Mike Lindell, the agents, who he says were all nice guys. He says they weren't douchebags at all. They weren't being jerks. They were all very kind to him. So, of course, Mike Lindell has never heard of the expression, keep your mouth shut, okay, without your lawyer, okay? So this is the day after Trump and the golf course. FBI saw what's going on at the golf course. They're not stupid. Okay, you got to understand, I've worked huge, major, organized crime cases. I know how everybody in these things work. I know how they react, okay? I don't think there's anybody who can analyze this situation better than myself at this point. Maybe a few people out there, okay, that are in a position able to talk, okay? He starts talking to these FBI agents, even though any first-year law student would say, keep your mouth shut. And what are they asking him about? They're asking him about Dominion voting systems and this case going on in Mesa County, Colorado, I believe it is. Yes, Colorado. Where this clerk, Tina Peters, and Doug Frank, and who has his own problems, too. And there's all kinds of allegations down there, okay, about them turning over material they weren't supposed to turn over, and also, too, with the fake electoral college stuff. Now, someone has already pled guilty down there, okay, to these charges down there in Colorado. And there's pending charges on somebody else. The one who pled guilty and got a deal because she's going to be testifying against other people. Now, the question is, just because the subpoena comes from an agent, an attorney general down there in Colorado. And the agent starts talking about this case in Colorado, does not mean that that's what this investigation is about. Okay? That's just what they're telling him it's about. That's because Mike Lindell is so stupid. Like, they knew, anybody would know, that all you got to do is grab Mike Lindell and wave something in his face, and the guy's going to be running on the news the next day talking about it, blabbing his to the top of his lungs, threatening to sue people. And which he just did, he files a lawsuit against the federal government. They got criminal show. Hey, dude, the federal government has a 97% conviction rate, okay? And here they are. They're seizing your phone. They're stopping you. By the way, the whole story with him, first he says, yeah, I was hunting. No, first he says I was fishing. Then it turns out he was hunting. First he says it was an Arby's. Then it turns out it was a Hardy. It was definitely a Hardy's restaurant, but we don't know if he was fishing or hunting. We don't know what that was. But they stopped him. They took his phone when they thought this guy was hunting, that he would be armed at a time when he would have a gun in his car, okay? And they risked that to go after this guy. Okay, so that's serious business. They didn't wait to get this phone. They wanted this phone. There's something on that phone. And they knew he would run on the news the next day, 5 minutes later. And he did. Right? He didn't even get home yet. He puts on his suit. He's on his video channel. They're yapping into the camera like an idiot. All these guys are going to prison. They're all going to die in prison. Okay? Trust me on this. I can see the future. Yeah, Mike Lindell, tell us about Colorado. Tell us about Colorado. Oh, this is about Colorado. Oh, I'm going to my video channel. Tell me this is about Colorado. Stupid idiot. That's nothing to do with Colorado. This is not what they're doing here. Okay? What happened before? We go into the time machine. We go back. What happened last week? Federal grand jury. And what are they eyeing? I get emails 10 times a day from the Save America PAC. And that's Trump's new, it's like his new Twitter. And it's a PAC called Save America PAC. And this is where he puts out all his press releases and his announcements, right? But they also ask for money. And what are they always asking for money about? They're asking for donation. They've raised like $250 million. This is serious money. They've raised $250 million. And by the way, so there's a federal grand jury. They subpoenaed William B. Harrison, William S. Russell, aides to Trump during and after his presidency, Nicholas Luna, former personal assistant to Trump, Sean Dolman, who's that guy, Steve Miller, the chief financial officer for Trump's 2020 campaign, Julie Radford, a former chief of staff for Ivanka Trump, America PAC. They serve all these subpoenas on these people. Next thing you know, Trump's having a meeting down there at the golf course. Last second, who's he bring with him? Stop the... What's that thing called? True Vote, right? True the Vote. Grifter. Greg Phillips. Next day, who do they go after? What's his name? Mike Lindell, My Pillow guy. What's the thread, folks? What's the thread in everything they're doing? Mar-a-Lago investigation, search warrant. Patrick Burns says it has to do with Sidney Powell and whether or not she had she's an attorney working on the election fraud stuff. Does she have a security clearance? Does she not have a security clearance? Was she allowed to see these documents? Was she not allowed to see these documents? But I think the focus there was the trying to prove that there was foreign interference. It was all about the election, all about the vote. That's what the focus of that search warrant was. Then you got this here. Save America PAC. What's the focus? Again, the election, raising money. The money that is coming in based on the premise that, hey, ladies and gentlemen, there was fraud in the election was stolen, the machines were hacked, the votes were no good, it was rigged, send me money. Send me money so we can fight this problem. Now, according to Berge, he examined all that stuff. He says, well, that didn't happen. And Ed, they all know it didn't happen. They're telling Trump this, but it's come out recently that Trump himself said, I know I lost, but I'm still not leaving. Okay? What case is the FBI putting together? The case that they're putting together, ladies and gentlemen, okay, is that Trump knew all along that the election was accurate. He legitimately lost. There was no hacking. There was no fraud. He based all this on the word of a known con man and grifter, okay, Mr. Phillips, Greg Phillips, with no evidence. No one could come up with any proof. They lost but he still raised money based on that lie, on that fraud. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what the conviction is going to be. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what the case is going to be. That they knowingly raised money from gullible dupes, tricking them into thinking that there was election fraud when they knew that there was none. They had all the proof. They've known from the start. And that's what's going to be in Mike Lindell's phone. That's why Phillips is there at this meeting here, because he was the guy who started the whole thing. That's why they're search warranting, getting these documents from Mar-a-Lago, because of Sidney Powell, how her name comes up in it. That's why they're going over to Save America PAC. That's where all the money is. That's what's going to happen, guys. Keep your eye on that stuff. Okay? Let's see what's going on here. Yes. These are a bunch of amateurs. They don't know what they're sloppy. Okay, and here's another thing I'm going to predict for you, okay? They're going to make a deal for Trump, right? And they say, listen, you're guilty. You're going to get 20 years. You're going to get 40 years for this, but you're going to get 20 years. Plead guilty. You're going to get probation. No jail time. Okay, just as long as you keep your nose clean. Now, this will show the world, hey, look, we're not a banana republic. We're not out to, arresting him just because he wants to run for president. He's on probation. We're giving him all the respect for due to an ex-president. Within 90 days, Trump will violate the probation. He'll go to prison. I guarantee it. Guys, I guarantee it. Trust me on this. Like I'm QAnon. Pretend I'm QAnon. And I'm telling you about a Space Force. Okay? All right? Let me see if that covers everything about this that I want to say on that. I think it does. Okay? And guys, I'm spending a lot of time on this, man. I know I'm covering all the bases on this. Look up this guy, Greg Phillips. You can find out for yourself all the stuff with him. Mike Lindell, I think, is obvious. They knew he was going to run to the TV cameras and start running his mouth. Now, there's some things here that are really, really, really breaking about this situation with these refugees down in Texas, Venezuelan refugees that were plucked out of there by Ron DeSantis and on this $600,000 charter plane flight. Comes out to $12,000 per person. Okay? And there's a lot of confusion about the amounts here. The budget on this thing was $12 million of COVID money that he's earmarked for this project of relocating refugees, which, by the way, is unlawful. It's unlawful to transport migrants, undocumented migrants, from one state to another, once you know. Now, in this case here, there's so many laws have been broken. That's and there's a lot of very suspicious things going on here too. There's some great guys doing some great work looking up this flight school in Florida that has a sister company down in Texas, another airline company down there. Very small company. This attorney down here went down to the offices. He says there's only 4 people working there. 3 are out to lunch. I'm the only one here. They got a $700,000 PPP loan saying that they had 30 employees. But there's only 4 people working there, according to the people that were there today. What we know so far is that one undocumented alien down there in Texas was paid $200 to recruit these other people to get them to take the plane. They were told that they were being transported up to Boston, where they would be given English lessons, they would be given housing, they would be giving taught how to fill out work papers, and they would be given addresses that they could give to the immigration, ICE. They were lured onto these planes. They weren't fed. They stopped at what Daniel Hopsecker says is a CIA Air Force base or airstrip in the panhandle of Florida that's in the district of Matt Gaetz. Turns out, too, that all the folks involved in this are all friends with Matt Gaetz. Okay? I can tell you, okay, and you're not going to hear this on mainstream media, but the people I know personally are looking into the flight logs here to see if any people turned up missing there. If there were more people landed in northern panhandle of Florida than took back off. Okay, if any people were taken off that plane. Because there's a lot of stuff going on here with this, guys. First of all, there's no reason for them to be stopping in northern Florida. Okay, on your way to Boston from Texas. Okay. They were dropped off in Martha's Vineyard there. Some of them were saying, by the way, on the bus, that can we get off here? Can we get off here? They were told no. Okay, no food for the whole day. Kids is 6 years old, 7 years old. On this flight. Just imagine traveling with your kids all day long. They haven't eaten all day long. You don't know where you're going. After this long trek across the border down there to, South America, Central America. They get them to Martha's Vineyard. They just drop them off there. The people were just standing there, and they asked people walking by, says, where is the refugee center? Where is the community center? And some people said, oh, well, there's a community center, about 3 miles away. But they're talking like a rec center it was. Okay, it wasn't like some kind of shelter. It was a rec center. So they walked over to this rec center, and they showed up over there, and they said, oh, okay, we're here. And I says, what are you talking about? Who are you? What's going on? So this is horrific. You drop these people in the middle of nowhere. They got to walk 3 miles thinking they're going to a place for refuge, and it's not even what they're thinking. All this going. DeSantis had his own videographer on this plane. There's some people out there saying that there's kidnapping charges. That if you lure someone to another state, claiming you're going to give them employment, you're going to give them food and clothing, and you're going to help them and do all these things, and then you just leave them in the lurch, that's a felony kidnapping charge. Right? There's a word for it. It's a fancy word. Okay? So, but there's a lot going on here. There's no way it would cost $600,000 to transport these people for this PR stunt just to own the libs and to some kind of point out some kind of hypocrisy. Oh, look what hypocrites they are. Ha, ha, ha. Look what we did. These are human beings. Well, you're going to drop them out of the helicopters next. You're going to submerge them underwater, put them in cages, and drag them through. What next? What have we become? We've lost touch with reality, where people think the Space Force is going to come in and facilitate the next coup. We can just take families, women, children, kids, teenagers, and just pluck them over here, put them on a plane, drop them over there for a stunt for TV, for Fox News. We've lost all touch with reality, where criminals and grifters are playing golf with no golf clubs at the President of the United States, and they're talking about their crimes and how they're going to get out of them, indictments, search warrants, left and right, everywhere. So to say, hey, man, maybe some of these people went missing is not far-fetched. Because look at what we're looking at now. What we're looking at is bad enough. So it would not surprise me one bit. And there's already a lot of talk about a lot of these people being put into maid services and, kind of a labor, these meat packing plants and stuff, You see it all over New York, man. Well, just about every Chinese restaurant had these slaves working in the back. It's like second nature now. Nobody cares anymore. Abolish ICE is right. All right, so let's think what else I think that's about everything that I wanted to cover for the week. Let me just check my Twitter. A lot of good stuff. A lot of guys doing a lot of good work on Twitter with all this stuff here. I can't post on Facebook, so keep an eye on that. If you can help me share these videos tonight. Coming up after this, I'm going to play the Vice Up Colonel Aquino stuff. It's really exclusive stuff. He's got a lot of good content there. And he has a whole library full of material on Aquino. Hey, Grant Stern is working on all this stuff too. Hopsicker's working on it. So we got all our little crew here. Oh, let's see. I'm doing a show with this woman about Leonard Peltier. She's walking across the country like 1,100 miles in support of Leonard Peltier, hoping that we can get him a pardon. Although the FBI doesn't want him pardoned, so they always threaten to release dirt on the president if he pardons him, which is the story we heard about Clinton when Clinton was just about to pardon him. They actually held a protest out in front of the White House, FBI agents. Let's see what else. Oh, I got Rothmiller. Mike Rothmiller, the LAPD intelligence. He wrote a book about Frank Sinatra. I'm taping with him next week. And then there's one more. Oh, you know what, man? I had a couple of really good things going on. I was contacted by these people who, you remember how my story with Richard Biegenwald, the serial killer from Staten Island, I went to do that pot deal with him. I was contacted by some people who knew the guy, Tom, who was the marijuana smuggler, who wound up doing like 20, charged of 25 years to 10 in prison. He tried to set me up at the last minute there. But I was on to him too. Just like I knew not to get behind that X-ray machine, I knew not to buy any pot from Tom, man. I knew I was being set up. Okay, you guys got to, there's not a lot of people out there that and have the kind of experience that I have. So there's that. A couple of really weird things going on right now, man. If you want to pray for me, I would appreciate it. Also, too, funding, man, right now, man, I'm getting killed over here. They took away the YouTube, so now it really did crack into Spreaker. I guess a lot of people were going to YouTube and then clicking on the Spreaker link. So we're really getting killed there. There was a time we survived on donations. If you want to go to OppermanReport.com, there is a donate button there where you can donate, and even a monthly donation, subscription kind of plan. Patreon, if you buy a year's worth of Patreon, there's all kind of discounts you get with that. I was working on something really good too, but the survivor in the case is too traumatized. It's a celebrity case. It was something we've talked about here a lot on this show, a topic of three jerks. Okay. West. Three Western jerks. That way we'd love to go after these bastards, but that's part of the problem, It's so difficult getting people to it's traumatizing. They don't want to relive the trauma. And that's one of the main reasons why these people get away with so much crap that they do. Okay, we're out of time. I'm exhausted. Okay, I can't thank you guys enough. 2 good shows coming up tonight. You're not going to be disappointed. Vice Up does excellent work, and then this other thing about this rally coming up in Clearwater, Florida, November 17th. The Florida's Fight for Parents' Rights Rally, and there's going to be Danielle Bergelli is her father, Ira Peskowitz. I had him on this show. He's a nice guy. Maybe I'll drive down there and visit these people. Megan Walsh is going to be there. It'd be nice to meet her. And Amber Martinez, the guest I have, she's going to be speaking there. November 16th. Oh, boy. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everything. As usual, over here, I got my usual struggles that I'm always dealing with, but a couple of new things came up in the past 24 hours. In fact, I became aware of it in the last 24 hours that I'm on some people's radar that I don't want to be. That's the worst kind that I've always been worried about. The people I know or knew, because they take that personal, and these are people with enough power to really make trouble for me. So it would be really great if we had a little support. You can sign up Patreon now a year in advance. or maybe increase your membership. Just to encourage me, so I'm not so depressed all the time, But, it's tough doing this stuff. And then a lot of these kids will find out 10 years from now, if they will last 10 years. All right, guys, enough complaining. Good night. Good night, good night, good night. And now a word from our sponsors.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland street scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.